On this interview with Joseph W. Brady, should student loans be forgiven? When should schools be reopened? And what's to report in terms of an update on Victor Valley College developments?
Terry, life is good out there. We had a special meeting 2 weeks ago. We had PPL come on up, a specially called meeting. So once a year we do the evaluation of our president superintendent, Dr. Walden. We look at goals, we look at surveys. So we were able to survey our students, our faculty, and kind of get input from them. It was rather interesting. He did exceptionally well, but it wasn't surprising. One, he's a great communicator. Two, he's hired a good team of leaders around him. Three, he knows how to delegate. Four, he can kind of sniff out a problem and know how to attack it when he has to. And I think five, and most importantly, he's got the full support of our board. Dr. Walden came through really, really, really well. I'm pleased to work with him. We occasionally, I probably maybe challenge him a little bit with some of my out of the box thinking or my private sector thinking. But what's great is that he was in the private sector one time. He was in the fundraising, in the foundation business. So and he comes from construction, so he knows that kind of nutballs like me that if 1 to 10 is perfect today, well then I think we should have 1 to 11 next week. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we constantly remind each other that companies like Google and Facebook and Microsoft and Amazon. I mean, the reason these are such great companies is that they're pushing. So he's trying to push his staff in the right direction. We're trying to align, those goals are our students' goals. We're trying to remember constantly we are there for one reason, that's for our students. One of the things that we try to do is tonight, for instance, we have a board meeting. Two of us will take on two of our goals. So mine is kind of the community networking, communications, relationships, and trying to strengthen that. So we talk about where on the agenda do my goals connect with what we're trying to do. So, in the early years when I was on the board, and this is not a critique, but this is, I think, helps people if you sit on another board. People can talk about, we set goals and then we take them and we kind of throw them away. We don't do that. So, President Wood, Brandon Wood is our president right now. Our Vice President Jennifer Tarpley, she's going to be president this next year. She'll be clear. Once you start this process, you want to be sure that you're on it all the time, on every month. Michelle and Gabi in the president's office, they're on it. They're reminding us here, this is a part of your packet when we go through our agendas there. So yeah, I think our plan should hopefully for the new Student Educational Center, which everybody's way behind, way supportive of. They hopefully will be at the DSA. Right now being checked and go through, and then hopefully we'll start bidding sometime later this year. It is kind of odd to get our reports about where we're at and not have Steve Garcia there because he did such a great job for a long time. So, Steve, I'll send you a clip of this. I hope you and Dee Dee are having fun. We miss you, but hopefully when we break ground this, you promise me you'll let me come out there with former trustee, former president, former vice president Pinkerton, because we're going to pump. I'm going to need I need about 30 days notice. So I'm not able to pump weights anymore in my house. But yeah, no, pumping that concrete for the one stop. That was fun. That's an experience I'll never forget. So that's my update on VVC. We're doing great, and I'm really proud of where we're at this point in history. So
Joseph W. Brady on the government forgiving student loans.
I'm deeply concerned. You talking about deeply concerned. I'm a trustee at one of the best community colleges in the state of California. In a community college that is going to compete as the number one community college, hopefully by 2025, 26, 27 for the Aspen Prize. And here we have some of our political leaders who are using student debt as a way to basically buy votes. So how do you say, okay, now, student debt is a $2 trillion issue. It is a huge issue. But how do you say to the person that paid their debt, we're now going to go forgive Johnny over here or Lori over here and $50,000? I think, Terry, as we neared $30 trillion in debt, is it the right thing to say to our young people, you don't have to worry about an obligation you sign. So when you go buy a car, you sign an obligation. Should we just say, well, you don't have to do that, just whatever car you want? So I think that there's got to be a program, and I don't know how to do it that's fair. But the people I know that did it the hard way, I mean, worked, I mean, got up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they stayed up at 8 o'clock at night and they took these courses online or they went somewhere and they paid their bill. You can't penalize these people by saying, well, this group over here should be entitled. I think it sends a bad message. And I'm saying that, and I'm a trustee at a college. Now, maybe not all the trustees at our college, but I'll tell you this: the reason the community colleges are so good because we're so affordable. Okay. Now, if you come to our college and you get a loan and you don't go to school, okay, I think you should pay it back. Okay. I think if you come to our school and you get the loan that you do, you're required to pay it back, and we'll work with you. I mean, we get federal dollars. I mean, but the one thing we don't want to do is say to this generation, future generations, that your obligation means nothing because your word means everything. I mean, that's big. I will tell you one thing that just on a little subject of education. We've got to get our schools open, and we've got to get our schools open ASAP. I'm talking to parents who are pulling out their hair. I'm talking to students that are pulling out their hair. We're going to see the impacts of the decisions that are made today by some of our educators across the country. But who are we holding hostage? We're not only holding hostage those students. Now, you watch 10 years from now, when they're taking the SATs and then they can't pass, okay, and they can't get into college, or they're not proficient in English or history or math. I mean, that's where the problem is. So I know one thing: we have a great educator and a great leader in Ted Alejandre in this county, and if he can open up these schools, he will. I just love what he's done and Barbara's done. Barb just recently retired, but you know what? This is hurting the kids the most. Taylor Titus is our office manager. I'm really proud of her son Cadence. She brings him down here all the time when I meet her early in the morning to go over the work. Okay, I have seen it in this young man's face. I have seen it in his face about how disappointed he is that he can't go to school. And he wants to go to school. He wants to see his friends, but he doesn't. This online learning does not work. So this is something that we have got to deal with, and we got to deal with it now. We're 11 months into this deal.
Ahead online, the harmful effects of extending the tenant eviction moratorium and what to look forward to the most as the socialism agenda takes shape. Thank you for watching.